Okay, these are the wall sits. You want to keep your feet together and your knees together. And you want to try to lower yourself as far as you can. You're pressing your body up against the wall. You want to try to keep your hands off of your legs and just let them hang down. And just hold it for just a few seconds, maybe like count of 5 or count of 10 if you can. Then you're gonna come back up, rest, and catch your breath. Go back down again for a count of 5 or 10. Come back up, catch your breath. We're going to do one more time, so that's a total of 3. And each time it'll feel a little bit harder. So on the last one, if you can't get as many, then just do what you can. This works the top of your legs right here. And then deeper you go down, it starts to pull in then your butt a little bit and up. And I'm going to do this angle too, so you can see. You want to get your feet far enough out so your lower leg is kind of perpendicular to the floor. If you can only do this far, that's good. The deeper you get it, where this is in a right angle, 90-degree angle, you're going to pull in a little bit more of the backside too. If your feet are in too close, your knees kind of start to go over your toes, and that puts a little bit too much pressure on your knees. So you want to make sure they're out far enough. So that's one thing that you can do. Another thing is the mountain pose, and this is a yoga pose. So this is good for balance and lower legs, upper back, lower back, as you're kind of trying to stay arched up, and come up. Rest, catch your breath. If you want to, you can kind of lean over, stretch out a little bit. Come up. And again, if this is as far as you can go, that's good. If you can go a little bit deeper on each set, each time that you do it, try to go a little bit deeper. Come up, stretch over. If you do this, make sure that you lift up and go down very controlled. We're going to do one more time. You're keeping even pressure on the bottom of your feet, so you're not letting your heels lift up. You want to stay with all the pressure, your whole foot on the ground. This stretch right here stretches out the back of your legs and your back and upper back. Each time that you do it, if you want to try to stretch down a little bit farther, make sure you're breathing though and not holding your breath. Breathe into the muscles that you're stretching. So you'll feel a stretch all back here in the back of your leg, your glutes, your lower back, and upper back. Make sure you lift up nice and controlled. Another thing you can do for legs is just a side squat. So you're going from one side to the other. So here and here. And rest. I'm going to show you from this angle. Whenever you do any type of squat, you want to keep your chest up and stay arched up. It's okay if you lean forward a little bit as long as you're arched up. It's not okay to lean forward if you're bent like this doing them, because that puts pressure on your lower back. So you want to make sure that, pretend like you have a little string attached to your chest and somebody's pulling your chest up. So when you step, this is up. If you can't go this deep, just go as deep as you can, even if it's just like that. Even pressure on the bottom of your foot. Maybe even back a little bit more towards your heel. And rest. And we're going to do one more time. I wasn't counting, so I don't know how many I was doing, but I would say do an even number, so you're doing the same amount on each side. And I would say maybe start with 6 or 8 or 10, somewhere around there, and try 3 times. That's really good for top of your leg. And same thing with these. The deeper you can squat down, the more it pulls in the backside too. So if you're just going right here, that's mainly here. If you can go a little bit deeper when you push up, the first part of the push off the bottom comes from here, and then it shifts back to here. So you get more out of it, or pull in more muscle groups the deeper you go, but sometimes that's not possible in the beginning because you have to get this a little bit stronger. So just go as deep as you can and just try to get maybe just a little bit deeper, even if it's like a 1/4 inch. If you picture yourself going down a 1/4 inch deeper, and eventually by doing this you're going to get stronger and stronger, and you will be able to go deeper. Maybe not every time, you might not be able to go deeper, but you're going to get stronger, and eventually you're going to be able to go way past what you did in the beginning. And it's just consistency. It's just being consistent. I would do something like this maybe twice a week, 3 times a week if you're not sore, if it feels good to do 3 times a week, but I would say probably twice a week would be good. For the very, very lower leg, just raise up on your toes. If you need to use the wall for balance, you can. If you want to work a little bit more on your balance, then try not to use the wall. But you're just lifting up on your toes. You're trying to keep your knees straight. You're lifting up on your toes to squeeze your calf, which is the back part of, lower part, back part, lower back part of your leg. So you're just going up and down. Legs are straight. You're pushing your, kind of pushing your toes into the ground to lift yourself up. And I would say maybe about 5 of those, or 8 or 10, and then just rest in between. You can stretch too. If you just put your foot up against the wall, you have to keep your legs straight though, and push your body into it. And you don't want to do this because that takes away from the stretch, so you have to push your bottom in and push your body towards the wall. And that stretches your calves. Stretch for the top of the legs. Grab this and just pull this back. You should feel a stretch on the top of your legs. To stretch the back part, you can either do that, like we did in the beginning. You can sit on the floor and stretch this way. You can stretch from side to side. That'll stretch it a little bit more. Stretching forward kind of gets a little bit of the inner thigh. And just remember, whenever you stretch, not to hold your breath, but You have to breathe into the muscle that you're stretching. If you hold your breath, the muscle stays tight, and you're stretching to try to loosen it. So you want to make sure that you're stretching just far enough to where you feel the tension, and it feels like it's, you feel a little bit of the resistance, but just enough so you can breathe. If you do try to stretch too far too soon, it creates you to hold your breath, and then the muscle stays tight. So you want to kind of ease into it and go just enough to where you feel the tightness, and then breathe into the muscle. You'll feel it loosen, and then you want to stretch it a little bit more, and then breathe into it. You'll feel it loosen, you want to stretch a little bit more. So if you go in levels like that, it helps it to loosen up quicker, rather than trying to stretch all the way down and it hurting, and then you're holding your breath, and then the muscle stays tight and you didn't get anywhere. So that's a couple lower body leg exercises to strengthen your legs.